Hey everybody, it's Lila. Just wanted to give you a heads up that we have a very special guest today. Her name is Christa Hutchins. She's the author of Moving Forward. Um, she's been a blogger for a long time, and I'm hoping she'll share her story of how she got here. So let's just go ahead and dive right into just a few questions that I had for her about her new book and everything. All
Hey,
right.
Stella, I'm so glad to be here with you guys and with your audience and your readers. I really appreciate what you do leading women into God's heart, and because I'm passionate about that as well. So I really appreciate you having me today.
No problem. All right, let's get to the first question. It's how long have you been blogging?
I've been blogging for about 4 years. I didn't start with a blog. I started because I was serving and volunteering with a large organization that had a lot of speakers and writers and creative people. And I saw how they sometimes struggled with the execution of their big, wild ideas. They just kind of got stuck. They didn't know what to do next or what to do first or how to pull off all the crazy things that God helped them dream up. And so I sort of became the doer of things. And so I felt like God was leading me to just serve his girls in that way. So I started with the business, Do a New Thing, to just come alongside and support and help Christian creative women who communicate and lead, and then started the blog maybe a few months after I started the business. So it's been about 4 years of actual blogging, about 4.5 of the business.
That's very good, very cool. I didn't know most of that because I just got introduced to you a few months ago, but
Right.
already I kind of see you as one of the big names, and I'm kind of fangirling right now.
No, I don't consider myself that at all. I still consider myself a fairly small blogger. I mean, I don't have a huge audience because I've niched down to something so specific. But I do love serving the women that God has called to communicate his message to other women in this world. So I'm happy to be here with you. So.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so what about moving forward? Where did you come up with the idea for this particular book?
Well, so I've done over the past 4 years, I've done several courses and masterminds and like guided group courses. And one of the things I'm very passionate about is helping people see that God's word is very strategic and it's very focused on our day-to-day issues and problems. And I think sometimes we are really great at going to God's word for advice and for guidance on relationships, on parenting, on marriage, on our personal development. But and maybe even in a lot of decision making, but sometimes in our ministries and businesses, we don't go there for the very practical things of, like, what kind of software should I use to do this, and what kind of theme should I use for my blog or whatever. And it's not that God really so much has a preference for which of those things you choose. It's that he cares about how you make the decision and what you value, what's important to you, what you allow to move your heart as you make decisions. And so in all of my courses, I have always had a devotion or a Bible study to go as like an introduction into the course. Even in my webinars, I usually have some kind of biblical lesson that sets the stage for the practical things that we're going to learn. And what I found over the years is that those practical biblical lessons are the things that people like the most, even more almost than some of the technical information. But people just loved understanding and seeing a different side of God, seeing a different side of common characters and stories in the Bible when you begin to view them through a strategic lens, through a lens of decision making, of development as a leader. You begin to see very familiar stories in a whole new light. And so people always loved that part of the courses together. And so that was kind of the genesis of Moving Forward, that I wanted to bring some of those things together and put them out there for people to be inspired by. It's set up sort of like a devotional, but I don't call it a devotional because I feel like a devotional is kind of a little bit maybe a little deeper than what these are. This is more like practical inspiration for you when you're stuck, or when you're not sure about your next steps, or you need a little push of something, ideas of something different to do. Each one of these little short inspirations can help get you moving forward again.
Yes, I agree. I've read all of through of it, and they're really, really inspirational. All right, so what was your favorite chapter?
My favorite is, I'm really into the story of Joseph right now. So it's the one that's called this power of a successful project. And I love how, God always has a bigger picture of things than we do. And so Joseph had this great, very practical project that he had to do. He had told the king about the famine and the plenty and the famine, and the Pharaoh told him, okay, go make it happen. Joseph, go make sure my people are taken care of. And so Joseph had a very specific plan for saving up the grain in the 7 good years and making it available in the 7 years of famine. He did all the things right in his project. He had a specific plan. He had a timeline for it. He went to everybody involved and told them exactly what their role was and what their requirements were. And because he planned his project well, it was successful. And God used that successful project to reunite Joseph with his brothers, and carry on the story of the Israelites all the way through the Old Testament. And so, you think about, what if Joseph's project had failed? What if he hadn't taken the time to plan and do it right? Would Egypt, would it have changed the course of the government and the whole system in that area if Egypt had not had the grain and his brothers had not been able to come to him? So I love that project, that story. It's a really important thing for me, as someone who's prone to put projects over people, to remember that with God, even our very practical projects are still all about people. And so I love that one, the power of the successful project.
Very good. So at the end of each chapter, you have the moving forward prompts that are sort of like journaling prompts.
Uh-huh.
So which one of those was your favorite?
I think it's one that's pretty early in the book. It's in the devotion called Out of Our Comfort Zones, which is a place where God calls us often when he's stretching us to do new things. And it's the question, how is he equipping you or giving you confidence to follow him into the unknown? And I think this whole idea of comfort zone is important to me because, I spent my whole professional career as a project manager working in a very male-dominated field. And so working with women and serving women is way out of my comfort zone. Large groups of women still terrify me. And so God pulled me way out of my comfort zone. But as I look back, I can see how he has been preparing me and equipping me for this all along. The things I learned as a project manager in all those years are the very things that I'm teaching people now to use in their ministries and in their blogs and in their Christian businesses, because the concepts are all the same. So I can see how God has taken me out of my comfort zone, but I can also see how he has equipped me. And that gives me the confidence to follow him wherever he's taking me. So I love that question. And I think if women will stop and ask that question, what is God preparing me for? What is God teaching me? How is he equipping me? And how can I use that to follow him? I think you'll find that God has given you specific gifts and skills and talents that he wants you to use in a way you have no idea or you could not even imagine, because I know that's what he's done for me. So I think that's one of my favorite questions in the book.
That's good. I'm still processing that one myself. This whole blog and ever since I published on my own book 2 years ago, everything has been out of my comfort zone. So it's been really neat to see how God's led just every little step of the way. I don't have to see the whole path to the destination.
Right. I was talking to someone last week and she described it like, I just, everything is foggy. I'm not sure where God's leading me, and everything is foggy, but all I have to do is look for the one clear step. And when I step into that step, the fog clears right around that, and I can see the next step. So it's
Yeah,
like following God down the foggy path. Sometimes he gives us a clear vision of exactly where he wants us to go. Sometimes he asks us to trust him and just follow him down the foggy path. So I loved that analogy that she gave me.
that's awesome. So how long did it take you to write this moving forward?
Well, that's funny because I didn't like sit down and write the book, right? So it's really, I pulled from all the courses that I've written, my mastermind, my the actually one of the inspirations in the book was my very first blog post, and so it took 4 years to write it all, but it took me about 2 months to gather everything together and get it edited and get the cover designed and get it formatted, so that I could have it ready here to put out this fall. So yeah, about 2 months of actual working on it, but the hard writing part was already done. And I
Right.
just love the writing part.
All right. So out of the whole thing, all the journaling prompts, all of the inspirations, what is the most important thing that you want us Jesus girls to get out of this book?
There's two things. One, I want you to know that God has equipped and empowered you to do great things and to do what he's called you to do, and that may look a little bit different than what you think. He hasn't called all of us to speak on the big stages or have the best-selling books or to be the big leader, of a huge ministry. He's equipped and called us to do things right where we are, and if we will just continue to take those steps, we'll keep moving forward. And the other thing I want people to know is that they are not alone. They don't, it's this, I think too many of us try to, I don't know if we're embarrassed that we don't know everything or we don't want people to know. And I think some of it is a fear of failure. So we don't want people to know what we're doing. But that's why the Find Your People section to me was so important to include, because I think it's important for you to find the tribe of people that you're going to do this with. And that's your tribe of both your audience, who's going to come along and be your greatest cheerleader and promoter. And I am thankful for those people, so thankful for those people in my life, but also the people who are going to mentor you and support you and walk shoulder to shoulder as you're both pursuing the same type of dream. Finding your people is so, so important. And that, I think, is one of the really key messages in the book.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you so much for this. What's next for you on your to-do list?
Oh my goodness. There's always more projects and more ideas. I think at the end of this year, I'm planning to do a full day virtual workshop. I have a program on my website called Build a Better Week that talks about how to create your best, a good week, to make plans that you can actually do and stick with and manage your to-do list. And so I'm going to expand that to Build a Better Year and do that at the end of the year as a full day virtual workshop. I did it a few years ago, and people really enjoyed kind of getting a big picture of their year. That's probably the end of the year. In the first part of the year, I'm putting together a new resource that is kind of more explicitly taking my project management background and creating some kind of resource, a course, a webinar, I'm not really sure yet, called Project Management for Ministry Leaders, so that you can learn, how to manage your projects well. And then I think you're going to see the cute little go-getter Jesus girl again at some point in the future. There'll be something else that will come out in that vein. So not sure exactly again what that looks like, but I've kind of fallen in love with that little girl on the cover, and and so I'm excited to spend some more time with her.
Very good. Thank you so much, Christa, for joining us.
Sure. Thank
And
you so much. And you can, you can find me at doanewthing.com, and I hope that you'll come and visit and be part of our community.
great. Thank you.
Thank you.